Welcome to Lunch with Legacy Leaders, a weekly talk show with local and national thought leaders discussing issues impacting the Black community. Now introducing our host, Ms. Anne-Marie Sorrell.
Good afternoon and welcome to Lunch with Legacy Leaders. I'm your host, Anne-Marie Sorrell, President and CEO of the Mosaic Group. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to join us this afternoon. Before we get started with our broadcast, I'd like to thank our sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Thank you to the Desmond and Dover Accident Attorneys, AARP, the Florida Lottery, and All of Us Research Program at the University of Miami. Today, I am joined by Craig Skilling, co-founder of the ByteCon Tech and Innovation Conference and the director of the Innovation Technology, Entertainment, and Esports program at Florida Memorial University. Welcome, Craig.
Thank you for having me, Anne-Marie. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you for being here. So lots of exciting things going on. I can't wait to dive into our conversation. But before we do, I just want to share with our audience your official brief bio. That is, I'm sure so much more to this. As an award-winning, passionate educator, Craig's career spans 2 decades working in consulting in the professional sports and entertainment industry, notably working for the NBA and consulting on producing the spectator stages for the Super Bowl and Pro Bowl mega events. Craig launched the Esports Skills Academy under his influencer brand, LLC, in the summer of 2020 as a means to educate institutions, parents, youth, teens, and young adults on responsible gaming and tech opportunities within the esports ecosystem. Skilling is an education and entertainment industry influencer who is driven by the success of all who are doing amazing things, especially those who have sat in his classroom, attended a workshop, keynote presentation, or event. He's a proud family man who advocates for diversity, equity, and inclusion for youth, teens, and young adults through various mentorship programs, and is ready for the metaverse and digital twin societal shift. So welcome again, Craig.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's talk about this journey of yours in your own words, and particularly transitioning from traditional sports and entertainment to now this virtual, exciting metaverse, Web 3.0, NFT, Bitcoin, crypto, and so many other buzzwords that are just like the trend right now and all the excitement right now.
Well, that's an amazing and a great question, because that led us to what we're going to end with in terms of the ByteCon, Black Innovation Technology Entertainment Conference. They're not just buzzwords in there. We have to be able to educate our people, our society, individuals as a whole, as where this shift is going. And for me, as you heard in my bio, career spanning higher education wasn't in my cards. I didn't think that was going to happen, right? For me, I was working in industry and I loved working in industry. I liked the hands-on, but I was always one step ahead, always seeing the trends and wanting to know about it, learn about it, and then be able to pass that information on. And that's happened at every step of the way. Sports management, I remember as an academic discipline for, I'm dating myself, but going back almost 20 years, in college, where sports management was frowned upon from parents, society. What do you mean sports management? You're going to get a degree in that? And we're seeing the same thing 20 years later when we talk about esports, innovation, metaverse, all of those words you heard. So for me, it took a lot of hard work. It took some vision. It took the passion. It took wanting to be involved in these things. And I couldn't figure it out. Growing up, I was the talent show. I loved Michael Jackson, right? But I'm not a singer, but I wanted to be around entertainment. I was an athlete, but I wasn't a professional athlete. Didn't go there, but I knew I wanted to be around the sport and the professional side of it. So I did what I had to do to learn the business of the industry. And that kind of took me on a path of starting my own business, working in professional sports and entertainment with multiple entities, producing events like you heard. And then it got to the point where, wow, we have curriculum that is matching some of the things that I'm doing in real life. And I had an opportunity to go ahead and, work at an institution, Johnson & Wales University. And prior to the pandemic, we were already starting to see where the future was going in terms of being able to say, hey, esports is next. We need to write curriculum for it. So that leads us to present day, Florida Memorial University, the institution where I'm at, where I'm directing their innovation, technology, entertainment and esports program is an amazing opportunity for us to be able to give back and do a lot. As you hear a tour going on in the background of where I am.
No, that's amazing. So I want to kind of take people back a little bit. And Craig, you present the perfect opportunity to do that. Because before we dive into the metaverse, which people are still, I was literally in meetings yesterday with some folks, and there are people who are still trying to wrap their brain around what is that? So I want to go back to first gaming, because I think that's kind of the easy segue to explain to people what, kind of virtual reality and how this kind of has grown out of gaming, if I'm correct. So can you talk about maybe a little, is for in the technology world, it's history. It's right. Like prehistoric, right? With gaming in the technology world. So can you talk about gaming first and how gaming and esports and, because I know that was a big issue, big growth industry, but then it presented challenges with kids just always being on video games. So I can remember my first gaming was like first, the Pac-Mans of the world with the joysticks. And then Nintendo with Super Mario Brothers. Oh, before that was Atari. And then Nintendo, I'm dating myself. Yeah.
So Anne-Marie, let's start right there, because I remember that. That was my days as well, growing up as a child. Nintendo, Commodore 64, all these various platforms. But watch this. We paid, our parents paid at the time, one price, $30, $40, whatever the game was. That was it. We had that game. You liked it. Maybe the next year or the year after a new version of it came out, we had to buy it, right? It wasn't about where we are today in terms of streaming. You fast forward to today, I have two young boys, and I can easily see myself where, they're telling me, hey, this game is free. They download it. But the amount of times that I'm giving them in-game purchases has exceeded anything that we paid in our day several times over. That's monetization. That's the area of where it's going. So that's where cryptocurrency comes into play. The token system has already been around. And yes, gaming has played an influence on that. So this is our opportunity to say, hey, let's turn on, the light bulb has to go off where they can love whatever game it is. But what if we told them you can develop the game? What if they told them you can produce the content for the game? What if they told them you can work for the company who's considered a tech company and be able to go ahead and say, I'm working in tech? That's what we need to be able to expose the next generation of Black and brown minorities and people and as a whole, to let them really truly understand this.
No, absolutely. And that's why I wanted to, for our audience, because we have a range of viewers from, various ages. And, for our more seasoned audience, I wanted to definitely start with the basis, even those who, for example, what were some of those games that came out on the cell phone that, our more seasoned people would be playing? I'd be like, y'all ain't got nothing else to do all day. But
the Tetris and the Minecraft, all those games are, a lot of them were on mobile as well.
Yeah, even going Candy Crush. I think that was a big one. Candy Crush was, but that's even going for that was a token system, right?
Yes.
Candy Crush. So just helping people understand that you've been doing kind of metaverse and cryptocurrency with gaming through Candy Crush and those, but you didn't realize what you were doing by buying those tokens in the virtual world or gaming world. And this is kind of that advancement of it. So I just want to kind of break it down a little bit so our audience would be able to relate to, the whole cryptocurrency, tokens, and metaverse as we dive into that discussion a little bit more.
So when we hear that buzzword, right, of metaverse and what is it, and it's been around, it's been talked about in books before, and now we have Facebook who had to spend a lot of money to go ahead and actually own the rights to Meta, and that's where they're at. But we're thinking about putting on those goggles, and why would I even want to put on those goggles? Why would anybody want to do that? And we have to be able to say, well, yes, like you mentioned, you've been doing that. You don't think you've been doing it, but you've been doing it, just not fully. You're not fully immersing yourself, but games, yes, have always come with some type of VR, augmented reality, AR, right, point to it. So now we have to say, well, why? Why is that going to help me as a business person? Why do I need to be involved? As an investor, why do I need to think and look at that? Why would Microsoft want to go ahead and acquire Activision Blizzard? Why would that come about? Well, they're seeing where we're going into the future. So you have to recognize those signs. So when I turn on those goggles now, present day, I'm going to give the example of prior to even turning them on, pandemic hits, right? Somewhere around 2020 for us in our market. We get to a point where artists, people when they're creative, everybody's going on Zoom, right? We're getting Zoom this, family, parties are on Zoom or whatever the platform, the video platform was, we're using that. Then we're starting to see, okay, well, we're still able to do business on here and it's okay. We're seeing some people show us that we can be very engaging in this particular way, like how we're broadcasting our stream right now. We saw that being developed, but we saw video games to where my son, I'll reference my son again, because I see what they're doing and I'm watching, but they call me on it because they understand the education side of it. Hey, look at this performance. It's Travis Scott, the artist, and he's performing over here. So I break that down and I can share that with my students and my colleagues in industry. And we can say, watch out for this, where we're going, because there's no way if we're going to be in this pandemic for a while and we're not getting back to live events, we need to understand where that is going, because Travis Scott just had 1 million impression and views of him performing in this particular video game. There is not one venue that's going to give you 1 million people, right, in one shot for one tour. Maybe your full tour will do that. This was on one day. He was able to do that. The very next week, my son calls me in again. Look at the Dr. Martin Luther King exhibit that's being featured. And you could not go out of the game. That was part of it. It was already embedded in it on that particular day. So you had to watch that. Now we're talking about content creation, immersive stories. This is just with my peripheral, with me watching it. Now I can enhance that to the point where I can create the content and take you to where you're feeling it. You're wrapped in it. You're now a part of that storytelling. And that's where it goes from the 20-minute documentary is going to be enhanced now, because I can show it to you. But what if I want to truly immerse you into it, to feel it, to bring it? I'm an event producer by light, so I love the senses. I plan events based on incorporating all of your senses. If I can hit on 3 to 4 of them in a virtual world, right, but still make you come to the physical, now we're combining the two. Hence the metaverse, where we need to understand that what we can do in our digital can still happen in our physical. The ones that do it right, we're not just planning for this space where I have to turn on goggles or watch something alone. I want to connect you back to the physical, back to some type of call to action. I'm giving you my marketing lecture now and bringing them all into sense, but I'm hoping that answers the question to see the why on how it's going to, the how is going to still, we can decide how the how is. Prices of those virtual reality goggles have now come down to the point where they are affordable. So that means mainstream society is ready. So as creators, we can now build out. We have to come together. As investors, we look to see who's going to do it the right way, right? And then we want to make sure that we're in on the low end, right? Because it's going to jump. Same with Bitcoin and what it's out in terms of cryptocurrency shift. But it's all the same conversation that we're having.
And I'm so glad you're having this conversation. And before I ask you about the program at Florida Memorial University and the upcoming conference, before we get into that, how, so I think, unfortunately, sometimes in our communities, Black and Brown communities, we are the last to know and the last to adapt.
Yes.
So I'm really happy to see what you're doing, because for many people, it still sounds very whimsical. It sounds very, people are very skeptical. They can't really wrap their brains around how this actually functions, some people think that, then if we, are all in this virtual space, then what's going to happen to us in real life, and how's that going to impact our social skills, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So how are you, and I know it's not hard to convince a younger audience who have kind of been embedded in gaming and, technology since birth, but for those who may be, let's just say, over 40, or even over 35, how are you able to, or you in the industry able to shift the mindset of people? And how do we who are, catching on and getting a part of it? How do we help shift the mindset of our friends and neighbors and colleagues as well?
And Marie, as Black and brown people, we don't always have to be late to that party. We got to stop that. I'm Caribbean American, and I know how that is. And having that trait, we have to stop that. We have to be able to see and have forward thinking, do our own homework, our own research. I tell my students, colleagues, friends, family, I can lead them to the fountain. I can't make them drink. Everybody to each their own in terms of what they do. It's not going to be for everybody. The idea is we have to get in it and be involved with it and understand. So I think we've touched on a little bit of the why, but the way that the conversations I'm having, it's more about sharing information. It's there. It's publishing. There are people that are doing it. So it's where's their risk versus reward? If we're talking about in terms of on investing, you can, like anything else, I'm not a financial planner. I will not do that, but I will tell you what I'm doing. And you can then do your own research to see it. Educating students, when our conference comes next week, there's an audience. We want to know about this. There's some of us that we have our foot in. We're not there. My 73-year-old father, right, they're on retirement mode. He just got an Apple Watch along with my mom, right, who is in her late 60s. They just got it for the holidays, for Christmas. My dad is on it more than anything else. He loves the FaceTime. He loves interacting. He loves tech, right? So it's not even at 35. It goes up. They understand it's out there. We understand there's going to be a shift, and we want to be able to say we're a part of it. We don't want to say we're left behind by any means. And the data, the research is already there. So now it's a matter of where do you fall within the ecosystem, right? If you want to be the person that just involved investment, but we're in our 30s and our 40s, where that energy is there for us to create, to be able to go and shift. There's job opportunities opening up. There's skill sets that we have that we know, if we know more about it, then we might make big career changes. It happened. We realize, a lot of businesses realize, I can be very productive if I take a step back from having to make sure that person shifts, clocks in 9 to 5. No, they can have a little bit more flexibility and still be as productive, if not more productive. That research has been shown during the pandemic, if anything else. The human touch and connection, it's still there. It doesn't say let's move it out. What we say is, how can we bridge the two worlds? Why is it that Nike would go ahead and buy into a company that had digital sneakers, right, in the metaverse? They saw where it was going. Why does McDonald's want to have a presence in the metaverse? They see where it's going. And I can go on and on with examples of that. So Black and brown people, minorities, the demographic that you mentioned, the age group, it's just a matter of us kind of doing our homework and saying, where do I fit in? What is my skill set that I can go ahead and do it? I've seen production companies that were traditionally on the ground say, I'm shifting to be able to do virtual content and programming. Them making that one decision allowed them to move on. The ones that didn't, unfortunately, businesses had to fold. Restaurants did the same thing, right? If they weren't able to open up and say outdoors, we can still be creative. If we didn't jump into the DoorDash and the Uber Eats of the world and find a way to deliver to the door, we're going on. So we do not, as Black and brown people, to sum it up, we do not want to be the Uber or Lyft or the taxi cab company when Uber or Lyft come into our market, right? Do not get left behind. Shift it up and let's know that we have opportunities to go ahead and create and or invest or be involved.
No, I agree 100%. And, I'm having the same conversation when it comes to the cannabis and psychedelics industry, as well as, what you're talking about with crypto, NFT, and metaverse, is that these are like the fastest growing industries and markets right now globally. And yes, a lot of times we as a community are just so apprehensive about learning and getting involved and taking risks in these emerging markets. And before we know it, we're either priced out of it or just catching the tail end of it. And this is like the ground level. So with that being said, let's talk about the program at Florida Memorial University and then your upcoming conference.
So you hit the nail on the head. Great segue. I sat down with a good friend of mine. He works for Microsoft, and he was doing some amazing things in the space. He is my co-founder of ByteCon, Black Innovation Technology Entertainment Conference. I've only been with Florida Memorial, and I took the role because I wanted to make a difference. That was the only thing. How can we go ahead and have impact in being able to design, get more Black and brown minorities into tech through gaming and through immersive content creation as a whole? So I knew I wanted to culminate the academic year with the conference. And then it was just a matter of, industry connections, right? And being involved. And I had a like-minded individual in Tamonte Leary, wanted to give him a shout out in what he's doing on his side with Onyx and just being very innovative in the space. And to everybody in the space that has been helping really to push the envelope, as it says, informing our individuals and how we can get involved. There are people that are doing that. So ByteCon is now, let's take that. Let's go ahead and own something that we have right here. Let's open it up to an audience that needs to know about it. Right here where the campus is located in Opelika, there's still zip codes where broadband access is lacking, smartphone devices, so on and so forth. There's still more for us to do and educate. So we have 2 days of a conference where we are going to really push the envelope, and the amount and the caliber of speakers that are going to really start us off with the chief digital officer for Microsoft coming in here to tell us, where is global transformation going? Where do we need to be? Tell us where that is. Where does that fit in? We're going to do storytelling, right? It's going to be storytelling throughout the 2 days. And it's going to culminate with the opening of our Esports Center, a really state-of-the-art venue. That's where I'm at right now in this particular room, as I'm seeing them doing some amazing things to get us ready. In between, you mentioned, what is a non-fungible token? How does that apply? How does that apply to music? The music industry has been shifting, right? We've seen that. We have to still go and still be able to inform. Now, lead them to the fountain, can't make you drink. But this is one that everybody's going to want to come out to. And if they haven't registered, they need to get out, Anne-Marie, yourself included. ByteCon.com, bite-con.com is where they can get more information on our speakers, on the full agenda. But I really want you to understand the why of it, because the why was so purposeful. And it just meant so much for this day to come. Right now, it's shocking that it's here. I'm leaving after our interview to be able to go to the Bitcoin play on words there, Bitcoin conference happening in South Beach, where we have some of our students at Florida Memorial University that are there with some of my colleagues. They're immersing themselves in it here on the campus. You mentioned we didn't have to touch too much on the younger audience, because you'd be surprised. Our students, and even in high school, I've visited and spoken at high schools, they're doing it. They have crypto clubs. They have Forex trading clubs. They have gaming clubs. So kudos to our district and our teachers and our society. It's happening. There's more of us that are out there doing it. We just have to come together collectively, continue to share the information, right? And then best practice. And then how do we go and get involved right away? That's what it is. We can't wait. And our age group, that 30 to 50 demographic, let's not wait. We're still energetic. We want to create and make those moves. We have a little bit more disposable income to put to diet. If we collaborate now and say, hey, we can build these projects to be able to sustain as it comes more mainstream, in 3 to 5 years. So.
No, I love that. And I believe we have some, we can put up the website just to show people some of the speakers and the experience they'll get when they go to the website.
Love it. Thank you.
So Tiffany Norwood, your keynote speaker?
She's the keynote in the second day now, on our second day. Oh, such a phenomenal individual. I would not do it justice in a few seconds to really talk about how she's impacting, but just know she is the Cornell awarded 2022 Entrepreneur of the Year. So let's start there. And then in terms of what she's going to bring to the table in all facets of the ecosystem is amazing, because she's touching it all. The digital, the metaverse, esports, gaming, right? She is in it. We have political officials that are doing an amazing job. Ted Lucas, shout out to Ted and everything he's doing for Florida Memorial and the community as a whole. CEO and founder of Slip and Slide and Technology, what he's doing with that and his foundation and wanting to give back. Kezia Williams, Miss Professor Keys on social media and what she's bringing to the table. I mean, you're going through it. Mr. Isaiah Jackson there, who wrote a Bitcoin in Black America book. That gentleman is going to be here. Andrea Campo, really immersing herself in what she's doing on her side in media and NFT creation. Nabs, this young fellow, he's a 13-year-old son of Saif, who's up a little bit further. And what that young fella is doing is impressive in the crypto space. Kudos to his dad, Saif, working and now, being a creative content and a go-to individual as a whole. So you see the gamut of individuals.
Yeah, wow.
It's amazing. I can't wait to have them. People that are coming in from all over. This is not just a Miami thing. They're flying in for this. They understand that Miami Tech, right? Hashtag Miami Tech is there, but Black Tech is there as well. And we have to continue to highlight it, showcase it, inform, educate, and then be able to say, all right, what's next? How do we do it?
And I'm so glad you said, because, and shout out to some of the pioneers for Black Tech, Felicia Hatcher.
Felicia, yes.
Her husband, Derek Pearson, because they had the vision for Black Tech Miami. This is, I think, about at least almost 10 years ago. And they took that leap of faith and created Black Tech Miami and Tribe and so many other great things, Code Fever and all of that. And now here we are, Ted Lucas, Fabiola and the team who just wrapped up NFT week. Shout out to them as well.
What an amazing event. Oh,
yeah. Yes. And I wish I had known about it in advance. I actually saw the photos after the fact. I'm like, wait a minute, how did I know about this? So I hate that I missed that, but I hope I'll be able to participate next year. But, shout out to what you're doing and just so many others that are making sure that there is a representation in the tech field. With all these different emerging markets and technologies, I encourage any of our listeners out there, if you have a college student, high school student, make sure you get them to this conference next week. Please. You yourself get to this conference. What's the economic, both career trajectory as far as income and earnings, as well as business and entrepreneurship? Can you touch on that a little bit? Because I think sometimes people got to kind of hear some numbers a little bit, or hear, how it can benefit their bottom line.
I'll tell you, for me, I like to tell all of my students, they can create their income. They can do that from now. They don't have to wait, until for an employer to come and do it. They're going to be the ones to start that. And that's on the startup, but not everybody's an entrepreneur. Right? That's difficult. Sometimes we have to go ahead and put in that time. But there are employers that are coming in there and starting at 6 figures for some, right? And we have to understand where that is, especially if you're very techie, if you're studying from a computer science background. But that doesn't mean that you're left out anywhere in between. But we're talking high paying salaries. We know if you're coming to the table with great training, even on their own. I had a young man come in and tell me I'm already coding, I'm already designing graphics. I have another student that's, in immersive, he's doing beats. And I said, what he does in his own, he showed me, he gave me a sample. I said, you should be submitting that to some of these music labels on what they're doing. Some of the gaming institutions that are out there, right, that are actually saying, we want to be able to take those individuals, bring you on and hire you from high school, right? We're seeing that happen. So creatives, you're going to earn a lot of money, but you don't have to wait to earn that money. There's a young lady named Candice who's gave me a call. She's moving into our market from Toronto. She's one of the first that I'm hearing. If there's another one out there, forgive me, but she's a Black woman that's designing custom PCs, right, for cryptocurrency, to mine them, mint them, as well as for gaming. She's a niche audience for what she's doing. Instead of saying you're going to Microsoft directly, I want to go to Candice and see what she's doing. So we're having ongoing conversations about working with her for our computer purchases and things of that nature. It's just amazing to hear. And I know if there's parents on this, particular call and watching this stream, they're doing this, encourage them. If they're gaming, we can monitor how they're doing. Just don't take them off, because there's an opportunity for them to be professional gamers. They can stream right now and already earn as an income affiliate for Twitch. Those are jobs that we didn't have in our day, right? We didn't have those jobs just 10 years ago, right? So the income potential is going to be exponential. It's going to increase. Startups are going to be difficult. We're going to have to put some time aside, but the end is going to justify the means.
Yeah, no, it's so interesting you said that, because I have a young lady that I mentor, and she's into fashion and fashion design. I mean, super talented.
Yes.
And so I said, you really need to look at NFTs, and you really need to look at the metaverse. And she started digging in. It was like, oh my God, people are buying, clothes in the metaverse to, go to a metaverse party. And I'm like, yeah, you can style and create fashion for the metaverse. And so she just, and I'm like, so it's just amazing what is evolving and the possibilities in this virtual space. I would have never dreamt it myself.
I mean, Anne-Marie, you're going to see so many things if you're able to attend on Monday and Tuesday. I mean, Florida International University, their hospitality college, they're supplying us with their immersive AI, artificial intelligence, right? Cecilia.ai, if I'm saying that correct. One of the first AI, artificial intelligence robots that's going to bartend. She's going to bartend. Now, we're a dry campus at Florida Memorial, so it's going to be mocktails, but we're showcasing that technology, right? The new Ford Mach is coming over here to be showcased. 2022 electric vehicle. We don't understand what is an electric vehicle. Well, I don't want to spend, $100,000 on the new Tesla, but I might be open to this affordable option that is still of luxury and caliber. So this is all going to be showcased at the conference. And then there's some surprises, right? You might see a performance or two. You're going to see an immersive exhibit called Still Here, right? It's an augmented reality, virtual reality, going back to where, I don't know if you heard last week, the White House administration announced the proclamation. This is now going towards those that have getting a second chance, reacclimating to society from being incarcerated. We're actually bringing an exhibit that's based on that from AJ Contrast. AJ Contrast under Al Jazeera Media, they're flying in to host the exhibit on our campus for 5 days, starting Friday, April the 8th, all the way throughout the weekend, right there on the campus where it's open, free to the public. Come on in, go ahead and schedule, see that exhibit. It's 20 minutes that will be so impactful to learn the stats and where we're talking about, and not just here in the US, but around the world on women's incarceration. It's going to shock you. The story is going to be very impactful, tearjerker as a whole. There it is right there. It follows 5 women. It won an Emmy award for it at Sundance. They didn't get a chance to do the tour because of the pandemic starting in 2020. So now they're taking it back. They've just come back from Brazil, and now we've been able to pick it up for 5 days. It'll be on our campus. So this is what's happening, BikeCon 2022.
Wow. This is so exciting. Thank you so much, Craig, for sharing this information. And again, it's bitecon.com, and that's BITE-CON.com. So please go register, learn more. I'm going to see if I can move some stuff around in my schedule next week to come through, because this is exciting. Like I get... Oh, as you can see, I'm passionate about this because I really believe that we have to continue to pay attention and stay on the cutting edge and not play catch up. We need to be ahead of the game. So thank you, Craig. Thank you, Florida Memorial University, for the work you're doing in our communities. We need this. Our young people need this. This is the future.
This is it.
This is the future.
Future is now.
The future is definitely now. Well, do you have any other closing thoughts?
Thank you for having me. Thank you to everybody. You mentioned Felicia and all the ones that are doing it in the market, Derek. I mean, there's so many of them, and I hope to see them all, next week, but we're going to all collaborate. There's so much. It's just a matter of us getting together. But, like we said, you can only lead them to the fountain. You can't make them drink. So I hope that what we said, something resonated to make somebody want to just ask a question. And then if they couldn't make it, they're going to follow up and continue to do their own research and get involved. Let's not get left behind.
Absolutely. Well, definitely stay with me for a moment. I just want to thank our sponsors and do some quick announcements. So thank you again to our sponsors, DeMesma and Dover Accident Attorneys, AARP, the Florida Lottery, and All of Us Research Program at the University of Miami. I'd like to make a shout out to our partners at Broward College. And if you're looking for a higher paying job, start your life-changing career in 2 years or less with Broward College Fast Track certification programs. Training is available for South Florida's top earning industries, and you can learn more at broward.edu/fast track legacy or call 954-306-9085. Be on the lookout for our upcoming Power Issue, where we'll be featuring the most powerful and influential professionals in business and industry. Can't wait to see our honorees. And you can see our honorees at the 16th Annual Legacy Power Gala, which is approaching, and it'll be coming up at the end of the month. Tickets are $200, and you can make those purchases by April 22nd. You can also RSVP by emailing rsvp@miamediagrp.com. And of course, we have something for everyone with all of our shows. On Mondays, we have the Business of Black Business at 1 p.m. with Jay Reynolds. Tuesday, My Money, Your Money at 7 p.m. with Bridgette Lumpkins. Wednesday, Soul at 7 o'clock with Nikki Jellin. Thursdays, yours truly at noon for Lunch with Legacy Leaders. And Thursday night at 7 p.m. with Chef Irie. And we recently launched a new show about health and your health. And so stay tuned for more information about the show so that you can take control and charge of your health. As always, make sure you share this video and mark your calendar for every Thursday at noon. And thank you for tuning in. And thank you, Craig, again for joining us. Make sure you guys check out BiteCon Conference next week, Monday and Tuesday.